What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with myself, Guni, and a special guest who is making his first appearance on the channel. Tap in Tobs, aka Toby. How are you doing, my bro?
I'm good, man. Thank you for bringing me on, bro. It's good to be here. It's good to chop it up. Obviously, I don't like your team, but boy, I like you as a person, so it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking towards the tail end of last season. We could have done some work a bit earlier, but I think we both decided let's go into the new season and then we'll start working then. And here we are, man. Things happen organically. So yeah, big up yourself for coming on. I'm a huge fan of the work that you do. I see you on the show with Matisse, even on your own channel as well. You're doing your thing, man. Definitely one of my favorite Spurs content creators. And same back to you. I don't like your team, but you get me. The respect as a person is there, man. You and X are my two favorite Spurs fans, 100%.
Love, man.
100%.
Love, man. And you, same to you, man. Big up to you as well. Doing it there from the States as well. It's 9 a.m., man. I love the perseverance and the work rate, to be honest. The people are calling us the Bald Brothers in the chat. Man. Listen, I'll take it, man. Whatever, man. Whatever. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, I've got my Uncle Phil going on around here, man. My hair's going back on the sides a little bit. I need to go back to the barbers and get that blade and all that. You get me? You know about the blade thing where they put the shaving cream on. Yeah, man. Only real men know about that. If you got a hairline, you're not quite there. You're not quite a real man yet, man. You don't know about them things until you lost your hair. But 100%, big up Joey. Bald lives matter. 100%. You get me? We've got the two presidents up here on the screen. 100%. But listen, we have bigger fish to fry. Stamford Bridge this Sunday, Chelsea versus Spurs. I am not even going to lie to you for a single second. I do not feel confident about this game, bro. At all. But before I give my thoughts, let me just hear what your thoughts are before the game, how you feel. You feeling confident, not so confident? Let us know.
I never feel confident about this game. Never feel confident about this game. And people say, oh, yeah, you're sitting on the fence. You ain't got chest, rare tear. Like, people who've been watching my content know when I'm confident and I bring my chest out. They know it. And this is just not, this is one of those games where, like, it's just so difficult for me to have, like, 100% belief that Spurs are going to win it just because we never do. And I've seen it with my own eyes before people talk. I've seen it with my own eyes. I was there last season. I was there before COVID. I've been to Stamford Bridge about 4 or 5 times. I've gone there in periods where it looks like, oh, wow, we can actually get a result here. And we just get smashed. So confident isn't the word I would use, but I am interested to see how we perform in this game. I feel like we're playing you guys in a completely different moment to where we were the last time we got humiliated by you in that sort of 2 to 3 week period. I think even from a visual perspective, we're playing better. There are at least 4 or 5 players who weren't playing against you last time round that will be playing against you. And I feel like the team are set in the manager's philosophy right now. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see how we can perform in this specific fixture, because I know we're capable of beating the best of teams on a one-off. We beat Man City. We should have beaten Liverpool at Anfield. I know that. I know Spurs are capable of potentially beating Chelsea, but whether we do it is the bigger question.
Well, because it's interesting that you said that. Last season we did beat you 4 times, and I don't say that to just brag. I've actually got a point here. Yeah. The situation that you guys were in was slightly different because there was a bit of I wouldn't go as far to say conflict with Conte, but for me it was more like of a rally cry from him to say, come on guys, we got to do better, from the board, from the players to everybody. And there was still that element of transition of him being at your club, because we've got experience with your manager Antonio Conte, and his style of management, it takes some time to get used to, because he's very physical. He's very, very high up on the fitness. That's one of his main things, is to make sure players are fit. And psychologically, that can be a big jump for some players. So for them to get used to that and then also adjust that to their game, because what we experienced when we first had Conte is that with that came injuries and stuff like that. But after those initial injuries, those initial minor injuries, they can still keep you out of games. But after that, obviously, you recover stronger. your stamina is better, your muscles are more conditioned to dealing with that level of intensity. So I think you've come out of that side now, and obviously you've got your first full preseason, you've got your targets in early as well, and anything to go by with Southampton, that 4-1 victory, it just goes to show just how solid that you guys are actually looking. It's actually kind of scary, I'm not gonna lie to you. And
I'm glad you're scared. I'm glad that people are talking us. People are talking us up in this way. Like I do think at times people are talking us up way too high, but I would rather this than the alternative, which was the laughing stock last season, because you can be guaranteed nobody was talking about Spurs like this at the start of last season when we had Nuno, when Kane was potentially leaving, etc., etc. Nobody was talking about Spurs like this.
No, exactly. So it's a different situation altogether. And me personally, I'm a realist. You know, although I'm a Chelsea fan, I don't let rivalries cloud my footballing judgment. I try to be as real as possible. And I said this on back again. I think that you guys have the best front three in the Premier League. Honestly speaking, I can't see beyond Son, Harry Kane, and Kulusevski as a front three. Now, Troops did say, well, look, Liverpool, they've got Darwin Nunez, they've got Diaz, they've got Mo Salah as well. Now, out of the three, for me, that gets into that front line is probably Mo Salah. And that's no shame on any one of your front three, because you know how phenomenal he's been since he's come back to the Premier League. So there's no shame in that. But I genuinely do feel that you've got a very, very strong attack. And also as well, what is overlooked is that midfield. And that's where, and I know this is going to sound mad cliched, but that's where the battle's going to be either won or lost. Do you know what I mean? So when I look at your midfield and I look at our midfield, that's what really concerns me, because we get bypassed quite a lot in that midfield because we play that pivot that I don't think has been facilitated for properly, because we do lack a DM, and we have been lacking a DM since Nemanja Matic. And in this day and age, it is key that you have one in your squad. And I don't think until we get that DM, we're gonna hit the heights that many of our fans expect. But in terms of like Conte bringing in your Bisumas and your Kulusevskis and these sort of players, how do you feel? So, well, I guess the question is like, how do you feel going into this game in terms of tactics? How do you think he's going to approach it this time round?
I think he's going to approach it the same way he approached Liverpool and Man City. I think he's going to go there, set us up to win, but set us up to win in his way. I feel like first and foremost that starts with the defensive solidity. I feel like we'll be compact. I feel like we will relinquish more of the ball than I would like. You're at home. You're gonna want the ball more than we will. So I think his tactic will be happy to give you the ball. I think what he's gonna be thinking is like, we can catch these guys out here. We really can. And I think defensively, I feel like if we close off the space for your attack, if we stop any sort of situations where your most dangerous players can isolate our weakest players, and then most importantly, when we get the ball, we have the bravery to play under pressure. That's the most important. So the defensive part is cool, but the most important thing for us is being able to play with that ball under pressure. If Chelsea are going to operate with a high press, don't be scared to play out from the back. Pick and choose your moments, when to go long, when to go short. Use the midfield more and play through Chelsea, because we've seen that when we actually put the ball down and actually start playing some football from back to front, we can actually play some good stuff, and we can actually transition quickly as well. You've seen it against Liverpool. You've seen it against City. You saw it against Arsenal. You've seen it against many sides in the tail end of last season, where when we were able to sort of play through teams' press, it got us some joy. So I want us to have that belief that we can go there and get something out of that game, man. I think if we have the belief, then anything is possible, because we have the players. Like, we
100%.
have the players. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Spurs don't have the players capable of beating Chelsea. Absolutely, we do. We have the players to beat Chelsea, but it's about how we implement the manager's idea, and it's about how how mentally prepared these guys are for the game. Because whenever we go there, we just surrender, man. We just surrender. So that's the key for me. And you made a point on the front three. I've never actually analyzed it this season, like who actually has the best front three, because like I feel like I still feel like the likes of Man City and Liverpool are ahead of us in terms of their attack as a whole, because numerically they just have more options available. Like Liverpool have
Yeah.
like your Jotas, your Firmino and stuff like that. I know we have Richarlison, are cool. And then obviously Man City, they have Haaland, Mahrez, etc., etc. But
Phil Foden and them boys there.
But when I actually think of it, like, what is the best front three, best attack? I don't think there's a striker in this league better than Harry Kane. And then on the left-hand side, right now, you're not picking Diaz over Son. You're not picking Grealish over Son.
I'm glad you said that, because this is what we argued about as well. I'm glad you said that. I was saying to Truth, bruv, there's no chance that you are picking Son over sorry, not Son. There's no chance you're picking Diaz over Kulusevski or Son, in my honest opinion. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on.
No, it's calm. It's calm. I think with Kulusevski, they can make an argument for it because Diaz was a January signing and he's looked good. But Kulusevski's performed better than Diaz since he's been in this league. I think, so when I compare it to Liverpool, Mo Salah is the only one where I can say hands down gets into this team, like irrespective. When I look at Man City, in terms of starting Ixai, Riyad Mahrez, I would probably say Riyad Mahrez. I would say he's a better right winger than Kulusevski. I'm not picking Grealish over Son. And as frightening as Haaland is, I'm not picking Haaland over Kane. So, I think if you're going off a duo, the best duo, starting duo, I'm not mad at it. I'll back that. I think we do have the best starting attack in the league. I'll back that. But I feel like attack has never been. Let me rephrase. I feel like goals have not been the issue with Spurs for the front two. And even with Kulusevski now, I feel like the attack is the one thing that we know is working really well. It's what happens to supplement that attack that potentially has been the issue for us. Like how the midfield balance works, how the defense works, how do the wing backs help the attackers. So that's what I'm really interested to see this season. I feel like Ryan Sessegnon and Emerson, they're two players who were quite poor for us last year, but they've started off the season really well. They're contributing goals. We score 4 goals and neither Kane or Son are on the score sheet. That's what we want to see. So if we can get that sort of contribution from the supporting cast and you have the attack on top, then boy.
I mean, Sessegnon, he's a player that kind of, I don't know if burst onto the scene is the right thing to say, but he was playing professional football at a senior level from a young age. I believe it was 16, 17 for Fulham as well, and was putting in performances. So when he moved over to you guys, I knew it was a case of it's going to take time for this guy to settle into the team. And the thing is what's on his side is exactly that he is a very young player and he's got time on his side. And the performance that I saw against Southampton, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was good, especially going forward. I thought he was really good. He got the goal as well. So, you've got players that weren't stepping up before, now looking to step up. Also, as well, you've just signed Jed Spence as well. Do you see him possibly getting a cameo in this game, or do you think it's a bit early for him to have a feature?
Nah, it's way too early for him to have a feature. He's not had any Prem minutes for us. So I cannot see Conte throwing him in the deep end against Chelsea. Like, this is a major game for us. And even Conte said it last season. When we actually started playing well, he even said that he would like us to play Chelsea again, because he feels like it would be a much harder game for them to win in comparison to when you beat us the 4 times. And I feel like Jed Spence, he's one that's going to come. Like, I'm hopeful that he can come good, but don't play games at Stamford Bridge. Just go with what is working for you now. We've got games like Wolves at home, Fulham at home. Like they're not all going to be easy games, but they're better games to ease Jed Spence into this team more so than Stamford Bridge away. So yeah, man, I can't see him starting.
Before I forget, actually, Todd Miller, thank you very much for the super chat. Generally, I'd say this is the worst time to play a top 6 club with our form, but it's Spurs, so I'm pretty sure Spurs will do Spursy things. Well, listen, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I hope that happens, but look, you lot know that I'm a realist on this channel. As much as I love my Chelsea team, I have to call it for what I see it as. You know what I mean? And first and foremost, football is also a game of opinion. So my opinion might differ to several of yours. You know, whether you agree or not, this is just my opinion, but I think that, and Thomas Tuchel will agree, that pre-season, we didn't have a good one. We still felt outside of pre-season, we weren't very prepared. What I saw against Everton, I wasn't too impressed. Now, the positives I do take from that is that we haven't won there since 2017. We haven't won there. And they haven't lost an opening game since 2014. So for us to go there and get the win, psychologically, it's a good thing, but it's just the manner of which we got that win. If we do not improve on that performance, i.e., ball retention, for example, i.e., not being too isolated in certain areas, like for example, our attacking players isolated, not being supported by our wing backs, our inside forwards being surrounded by several players, being pressed out of the game, creating very few opportunities in the box for our players, not getting enough bodies in the box for our players. Yeah. But there's reasons for that. This is the thing, and it goes back to my DM situation, is that because we're facilitating a lot for some bottlenecks in our squad. And again, I don't like to pick on this guy, but Jorginho, we know, is a very limited midfielder. I'm not saying he's a bad football. I'm not saying he's a bad football player, but I'm saying in terms of mobility and getting up and down and actually helping to try and screen that defense, he can't do it on his own. And this is why we get bypassed a lot. We get bypassed a lot in that midfield, especially when he's left isolated. So this is why I can understand it's a bit of being stuck in a rock and a hard place. Because at the same time, you don't want to concede goals, so you got to protect your midfield to make sure that doesn't happen. But at the same time, you need to score goals to win the game. So we saw against Everton that Koulibaly had to step out a lot from his position, similar to what Rudiger was doing when he was in our squad.
Isn't that by design, though? Isn't that by design? I thought that was by design from your manager, though.
It is, but it's to facilitate for the weaknesses that we've got in that midfield, clearly, because we shouldn't have to do that. In my opinion, we shouldn't have to do that. In my opinion, we should be playing a back four, but that's for another day. But we're not going to be able to facilitate that until we've got that CDM that A is press resistant, B is mobile, C can run, can read the game pretty well, D can win the ball high up the pitch, because this allows your midfielders, who I don't think are bad. Listen, Kovacic for me is a brilliant player. N'Golo Kante is N'Golo Kante. I know people are saying, his form has been up and down, but I believe if you facilitate for him with a DM, which he's not, by the way, people need to understand that Kante is not a DM. Yeah. If you facilitate that DM for these guys, you're going to see their quality shine a lot more, because they don't have to consistently worry about what's behind them. And therefore, we can get bodies forward. I think that's what we're massively missing in this Chelsea team, because our fans are saying, oh, our attack can't put goals away. That might be true, but at the same time, the quality of chances that we create for these attackers, for me, are nowhere near good enough, and they're nowhere near frequent enough. Like, for example, the rate of chances that you lot create consistently, and Man City, and
it never used to be like that for us, though. It never used to be like that for us. We really had an issue with creativity, and I still think we do have an issue. We still have an issue with creativity, because we weren't getting anything from our wing backs, which I think you get, and we weren't getting much from our midfield. When I look at your midfield, I actually think, I think your midfield is for me the strongest part. Your midfield and your defense, strongest parts of your team, because I feel like you've actually got you've got two gems in that midfield, like that supersede anything that we've got. But I do hear you, though, on the creativity point, because your attackers are crap. Let's be real. Like, if I had to give them a word, your attackers are crap. But I do think there is seriously a fluidity problem with Chelsea. Like, I'm not saying Chelsea can't play good football. We've seen Chelsea play good football several occasions. But I feel like there's an over-reliance on your wing-backs in your team. And I feel like centrally at times you don't get the cutthroat penetration that you need from some of your midfielders.
Exactly.
I feel like Kovacic is excellent at beating a press, driving that ball forward, and he can play a defense splitting pass here and there. I think Conte is Conte. We know what he's good at doing. He can break up play and he can carry that ball up the pitch, and he's everywhere. Jorginho, I'm not gonna lie, I hate Jorginho, but I think he's a good player. I think he's overrated. I think his influence on your team is overstated by a lot of your fans. But I think he's a good player, and I think he's a good passer of the ball. But I feel like with Jorginho, one, I don't think he's anywhere near the level that we've seen the top DMs play at. Like I look at Rodri and Jorginho, I think they're miles apart, in my opinion. I feel like Rodri recycles the ball as good as, if not better than Jorginho. And I feel like Rodri is just much better defensively.
Thank you.
So I think I've always said this. I've said this to Matisse. I've said this to so many players. I actually think Chelsea need another midfielder. I feel like since Cesc Fabregas has left Chelsea, I don't think there's anyone in that Chelsea midfield playing deep that you can say consistently breaks lines with their passing. I don't think he can do that. I think Jorginho can do the lateral thing, and he can play some passes forward. Kovacic can play 1-2 passes here. Kante can play, but I don't think there's a midfielder in that Chelsea team who you can say 10 out of 10, I'm going to break lines with my passes. I don't think there's a midfielder in Chelsea that does that.
You're right about that. No, you're right about that, because it's a case of, Kovacic, some people say, Kovacic can do it, but his execution and success rate is not what it should be. But then that's not saying that he's a crap player. It's just that his strengths are elsewhere. Quite like you said, he's very press resistant. When it comes to carrying the ball, I can't think of many better than him. He's a brilliant little player. I love him. But again, this is why I go back to the Frankie de Jong situation. Do I see a need for him? Absolutely, because he could be the answer to that problem. But do I think that we're going to get the most out of his skill set while the way we currently are? No, because again, you don't have that Matic behind to facilitate for them. So that, for me, that's quite a bottleneck for a lot of these midfielders, is that you don't have that. That's me. That's the sword that I'm going to die on. But I think when we do see that CDM, there are a couple options out there. We could have got Chouameni, but our board fucked around a bit too much and we didn't end up getting him. There was the Declan Rice links. Doesn't look like we're going to be going for him, but there are several others that are out there that could do a job. But this isn't just about Chelsea. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit passionate here talking about my team. But look, so from what you've seen under Antonio Conte, especially post preseason, I know it's only one game, but do you see yourself comfortably finishing in that top 4 by the end of this season? I know there's variables that can happen, injuries and so on and so forth. But do you feel that you're more prepared to finish perhaps maybe even higher than 4th this season than last season?
Definitely we're more prepared, 100%. This time last season, I wasn't expecting Spurs to even finish 5th. I was thinking probably 5th or 6th. We're way more equipped now to finish 3rd or 4th, in my opinion. I think the target for us should be to finish 3rd. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. I don't think we're going to blitz it. I don't think we're going to challenge for a title, but I think we're going to consolidate and build upon our final position last season. I feel like we're going to be a much more attractive side to watch. I feel like we're going to score more goals. I feel like we're going to defend better as a team over the course of the season. I feel like we're going to get more points on the board in comparison to last season. I think when I look at this team now, we know that we've got Champions League football this year. The main objective was to sort of beef up this squad and not just add numbers, actually add quality into this team. Mm-hmm. And now you saw on the weekend we played Southampton with pretty much the team that finished the end of last year, bar one change. And now all of a sudden we've got Perisic on the bench, Basuma on the bench. Richarlison was suspended, but he's going to come into this team as well. Jed Spence on the bench as well. Longley to come into this team as well. So listen, we've not had a 10 out of 10 window. We've not had this unprecedented window that nobody has ever seen. I think it's been a good window for Spurs. It's not been a great window. It could be better. We're still missing one or two key players, in my opinion, but we've had a good enough window where I can actually say, you know what, I can see Antonio Conte working with this. I can see us getting top four again. So, yeah, I think we've put ourselves in good stead. I look at the team on the weekend as well. I don't think obviously we'll get into the team news, but like I said, last season when we came to Stamford Bridge, obviously we had players injured. There was no Son, no Romero. I can't remember. There was no Son, no Romero. Bentancur hadn't come into the team yet. Kulusevski hadn't come into the team yet, etc., etc. But the team is just in a much better place now. And when we played this weekend, even if things ain't going in our favor, we actually have options off the bench that the manager can call upon to change the game. Whereas last year, non-existent. So, yeah.
So in terms of areas that you've addressed this summer, do you think that the critical positions or perhaps the positions lacking in depth have been adequately addressed? If not, where do you feel you could add more quality?
Not all of them. I think the attack has been satisfied. I would have loved for us to get 2 attackers, but I was realistic. I thought only one would come in, but I'm glad we brought in one who has proven himself to be a good attacker in the Premier League, and I think he will add goals to our team. So I think as it stands with our attack, I feel like we're in a good place there. Our midfield and our defense were the weakest parts of our team, and I think adding Basuma to the team is a complete game changer for me. Like everyone regarded him as probably top 3, top 4 best midfielders outside of the top 6, and now to bring him in, a midfielder that I'm sure I've heard Chelsea fans say they would have taken, I've heard Arsenal fans say they would have taken, I've even heard Liverpool fans say they would have taken. So I think he helps us in that department, but I still think we're missing one more midfielder who has a similar sort of characteristic to what I described that Chelsea need. A midfielder who is automatic when it comes to breaking lines with their passes. Bentancur is really good. Basuma, quality. Højbjerg, a lot of our fans don't like him, but I like him. I think he's a decent squad player to have. But none of these guys possess that. What's the word I'm looking for? None of these guys possess that passing quality I'm looking for. Like that, you know, that they can make the high risk passes more often than not. So that's the type of midfielder that I would want for us to add to this team. And then I look at the defense. I think, listen, I'm not happy with our wing back options, but I knew that we weren't going to get 4 new wing backs in one summer. It wasn't going to happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. We weren't going to do it all in one window. But I'm delighted that we were able to get Perisic on a free transfer. And I've not been impressed with Ryan Sessegnon overall in his time at Spurs, but I liked the way he finished the season last year. I like the fact that he started off this season well, and I like the fact now that he's going to be learning off someone like Perisic who can actually help sharpen your skills as a wing back. So I was happy to get that over the line. Right wing back is probably where I'm a bit more concerned. I like the profile of Jed Spence, but he's an unknown quantity as far as the Premier League is concerned. So like he's still a kid. He's 21. I think he just recently turned 22. So you're hoping that he's going to come good, but it's not known yet. He's not a known quantity. He still needs to announce himself in this league. And then we still have Chicken Royale and Matt Doherty. So they're not good options. So I still think we can improve in that position, but that's not something we're going to do this season. I expect that to be something we can do next season. But the key ones for me, as I've mentioned, on top of the midfielder, is the centre-back. I don't really rate Longley, but I feel like Antonio Conte will get a tune out of him. And I think for what we're trying to do with the whole building out from the back, players who are ultra comfortable on the ball and players who can actually start switching the ball now, players who can switch the ball and take us up the pitch with one pass. I think he will help with that style of play. But we're still missing that one other top centre back to complement our first 11 or to slot into our first 11. I think Ben Davies has shown himself to be really good, or really, really consistent performer at left centre back for us under Conte. But we know that he can be upgraded.
100%.
So
I don't disagree with that.
The plan was for us to try and bring in a top left centre back. So we have a top left centre back, a top right centre back in Romero, and then Eric Dyer to slot in the middle. So we don't have that. So I feel like that's where we're weak right now, in my opinion.
Well, position that you've mentioned is it's quite opposite for me. I think that we've quite strengthened there, and that's where I have the most confidence in this game. Now, if anything, for me, I'm relying on a shutout in from our defense, which is going to be incredibly difficult. But with the personnel that we've got in our team, we've got Cucurella, Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Reece James. Um, we do still need that one more because we are using Azpilicueta as that right centre back, and that's what does get me nervous. But the fact that it is a back five, he does have an extra layer of protection there, which does give me a bit of faith, because more times than none, I think he's going to have a good game based on that. But again, it's the players next to him, in particular Thiago Silva. I worry about him consistently having to facilitate that bit of bottleneck on that side. So I can see you lot going for that left side. Reece James, I rate this guy very, very highly. Didn't have the best game at Everton. In fact, he had a stinker, in my honest opinion. So he definitely cannot show up the way he did now. I know some Chelsea fans are saying, oh, Guni, you're not saying anything positive about the game. Hold on a second. Hold your horses. Positives for me is that I do think we will be strong and then wing back side. But for me, I have to see Cucurella start this game. Now, that's nothing against Chilwell.
That's what Matisse said as well.
Chilwell has come from a very, very serious injury, and people need to understand that it's going to take time for him to get to his tip-top best. When you're playing teams against Spurs, you must give them the respect that you have to play the best players available on your pitch. And that includes, if you cannot play your best player, you've got to play the most fit player that is capable in that position. Now, for me, some might say, some might feel it's a bit of a controversial statement. I honestly think there's not much between Cucurella and Chilwell.
There isn't. You're right.
In terms of quality. So this is why I'd be happy to start Cucurella with my eyes closed. And what I liked from him is when he came on against Everton, there was something that we were doing that just made absolutely zero sense to me. And that was when we was out wide, we were playing in high crosses to Raheem Sterling while he was being marked by a 6'5" defender, 6'3" defender, 6'2" defender, etc., etc. It made no sense to me. But Cucurella likes to play the ball to feet, which is a breath of fresh air for us. And I think if he does get down that side and is able to deliver low crosses, I think we might be able to not if you just cross from the ring, maybe even getting inside, because he is also a good dribbler as well. There's many bows to his strings.
Yeah.
So I do see our success coming from that.
Many strings to his bow, you mean?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, many tricks to his bow. My bad. I'm talking too fast, brother. My brain can't keep up with my mouth, bruv. Sometimes that happens. But that's where I do feel that we can get our success against you lot. I definitely feel like down the wings where we target your wing backs and perhaps try and get in behind will be okay. But that is very much reliant on whether you guys are going to play a higher line or whether you're going to sit back. Because I feel if you lot sit back and absorb, it's going to be a long day in the office for Chelsea. Why do I feel that? Because so many times against the teams that we should be beating, because naturally the teams that don't expect to get wins against your Chelseas, your Man Cities, your Tottenhams and that, they will sit back, they will be compact, they will frustrate. And it's a matter of trying to break that down. I think if Spurs do come with that kind of, tactic at the bridge and hit us at the counter attack, which you're very, very capable of, let's have it right, because people are saying, oh, no, Harry Kane ain't got pace. Son is rapid. You get me? Kulusevski doesn't look like a slouch either. Yeah. So you've got, and your wing backs ain't slow either. So you have the counter-attacking threat. So I think if you do approach it that way, we're going to struggle in terms of breaking down your low block. But if you do, step forward a bit and we are able to get in behind, that's why I think the game might open up a little bit. And that's where we could be getting our goals. But like I said before, I feel I'm very much concerned about our middle, because good news to you is that Kovacic is injured. He's not even going to be on the bench, so he won't be playing the game. So it means
is that 100% confirmed though? Because I won't believe that until I see him out of the team on a match day.
Tuchel confirmed that. Tuchel did say that Kovacic is injured, and the other one he said was Marcus Alonso. But with the Marcus Alonso situation, it's more of a case.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's injured. I think it's just the case that
he's going to Barca. Yeah,
that's what it is. So they're just trying to facilitate that. And you know how that goes when it comes to when things look inevitable, players are not going to play because of risk of injuries and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I just think that's the way they're choosing to handle it. But let's get into the team news. What have you heard so far from Spurs? How do you expect to line up in terms of personnel?
I think we're going to be unchanged personally. I think in absences, the one we knew was Skip. So we knew that Skip had a really nasty injury in pre-season. So we knew he was going to be out for the first 2-3 weeks of the season. Longley is the surprising one because he was fit last week. He came on as a substitute as well, I believe. But he's had some muscular fatigue this week, and Conte said they just didn't want to risk any sort of aggravation to his current injury now. So they just said we don't need to risk it because we've got Ben Davies there fit and available. So I expect him to play the same team again. I think normally I would have been tempted to throw Perisic in. Because Perisic is obviously better than Sessegnon, but I feel like after the start that Sessegnon had last week to the season, I don't see Antonio Conte dropping him, and I think that's going to be the same for the likes of Emerson on the right-hand side as well. So I think we're going to line up with what he feels is tried and trusted. He spoke about continuity. He spoke about the fact that was the team that finished the season last year, and that this is now 7 months of work sort of culminating in what you see in front of you now. So I think he's going to stick with the same side that started last week. Only difference is we're just going to have better options available off the bench now.
I'm not going to lie. This game just doesn't fill me with optimism. And maybe it's also because of what I've seen preseason and what I saw the last game. But at the same time, it would not surprise me at all if we just pulled out a result from somewhere, because that's what Chelsea do sometimes. You know, when I think that they're at rock bottom and they're at their worst, they turn out a performance where it's just like, where the hell did this come from? That I'm hoping that happens, but again, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. And people are saying, Guni, it is Spurs. It is Spurs. I get it. I get it's Spurs. But at the same time, I do not let my support for my club cloud my footballing judgment. This is about being realistic sometimes. You know what I mean? Obviously, I love my team and I want us to slap Spurs about. Absolutely. There's nothing that will bring me more pleasure. You lot will see on the watch along. You lot see how I celebrate when my team scores. But when we're talking realism, we're talking real things out here. Yeah. And from what I've seen, can anybody in the chat honestly tell me from what they've seen from preseason to until now, that gives you a level of confidence where you can say we're going to win with their eyes closed?
You know what it is as well, yeah? I'm always apprehensive about this fixture, I told you. But for me, I can't lie, seeing that Kovacic news, if that's legit, that is huge for me. I'm telling you, because in my opinion, I think Kovacic and Kante is a much stronger proposition than Jorginho and Kante. And for me, Kovacic, he brings the heat more often than not when he plays Spurs. And I said to Matisse yesterday, I felt he was going to be the main player that I was worried about in that midfield, because he's very hard to sort of keep a lid on when he's unsung in terms of his dribbling with the ball and his ability to sort of bounce and play off others. So him not playing in that game is massive. It's huge. It's huge. Even he says it as well. It's huge, bro. So that has actually given me more confidence heading into this game. But again, I need to see how the team sort of pans out. I'm still gonna. People can call it being a pussy. I don't care. Like I've been scarred too many times with this fixture. So
it's sort of like me with the transfer window, bruv. I'm the same. I feel what you're saying, but obviously in a different sense. And I see some Chelsea fans saying play Chukwuemeka as the DM. I think you're asking massively. You're asking too much, man. He's just signed for the club. Remember, he is a youngster as well. I understand that, Tuchel did say he's coming to contribute to the first team, but it's very similar to the Jed Spence situation. Is Thomas Tuchel gonna want to throw him in the deep end because this is Spurs at home? This is Spurs at home, you know. Again, it's just a matter of, you know, respecting the thing. I mean, we could put him in the game and he could play and ball his socks off, but it's just whether that Tuchel wants to take that risk. That's the only thing. But boy, in terms of score prediction, because I'm gonna end this in about 5 minutes, and your predicted lineup. Let's do that actually. Your score prediction and predicted lineup. Let's do that before we go.
My score prediction is 1-1. I think my predicted lineup will be Lloris, Emerson Royale, Romero, Eric Dyer, Davies, Ryan Sessegnon, Benton Core and Højbjerg in the middle, and then the front three: Kulusevski, Son,
Picks
Harry
itself.
Kane.
Yeah, pretty much picks itself. All right, so for me, I'll start off with the lineups. Mendy and goal, obviously. The centre-back trio of Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and probably Azpilicueta. Wing-backs, Cucurella and Reece James. Could be Ben Chilwell. I never know with this manager. Honestly, he does like to throw out some surprise additions at times. And that's also going to be key as well. That's another thing I've got to mention. Substitutions. Tuchel's got to get them right. Because more often than none, he's confused me with the substitutions. But I'll continue with the lineup. So I'm going to say Cucurella, optimistic he starts. Midfield pivot now. With the Kovacic situation, for me, it means that Jorginho is definitely going to start the game. Who's going to partner him? Possibly N'Golo Kante, probably N'Golo Kante, actually. Yeah. And now we're going to come on to the front three, which is where it's up in the air. I don't even know. I don't even know who's going to start.
Sterling is the one.
Sterling is the one name that's definitely going to be on there. He's the only name that picks itself. So Raheem Sterling on that left side.
I feel Mount is guaranteed as well for a big game. I feel like Mount will start.
I would love to see Breuer down the middle. I'm not going to lie. Now, I know I've said all what I said about Chukwuemeka being a youngster, but Breuer has had a season in the Prem, albeit his numbers weren't great in terms of return. But I take that with a pinch of salt because of the team that he played out Southampton. No disrespect to the team, but I just do feel at a team like Chelsea, there will be more opportunities created. Ironically, since I've been complaining about that, but I still think he's going to get chances. And just by the nature of how he plays, because he reminds me very much of Diego Costa. The guy goes after everything.
A bully.
He is a bully. He will be breathing down your neck all game, and he is a decent finisher as well, and comfortable with the ball at his feet. I would like to see him start, but for the sake of going for what I think Tuchel's going to pick, I think we're going to see Kai Havertz down that middle. And then on that right side, it might be Mason Mount, or it might be a case where Sterling switches over to that right and Mason Mount comes off the left. But I do agree with you that Mason Mount will probably start the game tomorrow. And let's have it right. I think he's going to also be a big part of it. I know his form has been up and down, but he's a very, very important player to Chelsea for me. Yeah. I think he gets a lot of unfair stick. And you know, a man saying Mount was anonymous against Everton. Look,
he was.
But then if I ask the question, who really stood out outside of the defense for Chelsea?
No one.
Nobody. And this is the problem that we have all the time. Someone's going to say Mason Mount is bad, but who has thrived in our attack since Tammy Abraham has left? Who? Nobody. Nobody's thrived. So it is what it is. Now, my score prediction for this game. I'm going to go with 0-0. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go with 0-0. Now, it may be leaning more towards the optimistic side, but if again, from what I've seen, that disconnect in that midfield and that attack, and you know, the isolation that I'm seeing out there in the wings, it concerns me. I can't lie, it does concern me. But then defensively, with who we've got back there, we've got the personnel to shut you guys out, regardless of the quality that you've got. Because I feel that we have a world-class back five, except possibly one, who is Aspilicueta, who is on his last legs, and it's a case of him just getting old a bit. And that's what happens. You can't cheat time. Now I know you might be thinking,
I don't know about world class back five, but
Reece James to me is world class.
You think so?
Koulibaly to me is world class.
No.
Thiago Silva to me is world class. Chilwell not yet, and Cucurella not yet.
Thiago Silva is a Rolls Royce centre back, but I wouldn't say he's world class now. Like for me, I've seen like Van Dijk is the standard. He's world class, so I'm like, that's the bracket, and I don't think Thiago Silva is in that bracket right now, and I don't think Koulibaly is in that bracket. I think they're both quality centre backs, but like I look at someone like Ruben Diaz, for instance. I don't think either centre back better than Ruben Diaz.
I think Koulibaly is. I ain't gonna lie to you.
But fair enough, it's a game of opinion.
I think that perfect. I can't lie, but it's your opinion. It's your opinion. I gotta respect it. I do think that for me, they're definitely world class defenders. That's my opinion anyway. But it's again, this is more about respect and footballing knowledge rather than just rivalry, because I don't like to lead with rivalry and say, oh, we're Chelsea and we're going to beat you off the strength of that we're Chelsea and of what happened last season. Last season is not this season, and there's reasons why things happened last season that are no longer there. And also as well, you've got you've got a preseason in your back pocket. You look a lot more, there's a lot more togetherness. You've upgraded in quality. These are things that cannot be ignored. I know we've added 1 or 2 signings to our team. We are stronger in terms of squad depth than we were last season, but it's just what I've seen this early in the season. Now, look, people, we can go and kick on and, go for a run where it's going to be clean sheets galore. I saw Todd Miller, big up yourself. What happened to Guni with the clean sheets? On to the next, you get me? But it's one of those ones where right now, early on from the preparations, I am not super confident based on that. But you never know. As the season goes on, it could be a different conversation from December time or January time. I could be saying what I was saying. Clean sheet, on to the next. You get me? But for me, I'm going to stick with my 0-0. And again, that's optimistic. That's very optimistic. I'm going to go with my 0-0. My brother T-Dot says Tobs is trying to draw you out, Guni.
I wasn't even trying to draw you out.
No, he's not. I know it's an honest opinion.
Yeah.
You're not the first person to tell me this either. I've heard this from several different people. Troops will say the same. Zara will say the same. Some Chelsea fans might even say the same. But I do think it's a 0-0. If we do score, I hope it's not this case. I hope it's not a Jorginho penalty again. Definitely don't. But Tobes, listen, I know you've got another stream coming up. Is it Matisse that you're going on next, or is it?
Yeah, me and Matisse are doing like a pre-record, and then I'm going live with Statman at 4 on his channel. So
yeah, both good brothers as well. Matisse, obviously, you lot are very much familiar with him on this channel. Statman Baines as well has been on the channel here as well. So much love to the both of them, and I would highly, highly suggest those that are tuning in and those that are tuning in afterwards to make sure that you do go and check that out. Have you got anything on your channel that you would like the people to know to go and check out?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you for having me on, man. It's been good talking with you. I like talking with people who know everything there is to know about their team, and are like, we all like agendas and stuff, and I do love my agendas, but sometimes let's talk football as well. So I'm glad we've done this. In terms of stuff to check out, I just did a preview, a Chelsea Spurs preview of Matisse. So go check that out. That's on my channel now. And I've got a combined 11 coming out with Monster tomorrow around like midday. So the people then go check that out as well. So yeah, that's it.
100%. It's good that you got Monster on the camera as well, man, because I said, me personally, I'm a big fan of his. Like, he needs to come back. And he tweeted the other day that he's not motivated to do YouTube anymore, man.
Yeah, he
But
said he's not. Yeah, he's
yeah,
not
but
really on it.
Monster, if you are watching, bruv, yeah, you know how many times I've called you, I've messaged you, bruv. I am a big fan of your stuff, and I know if I'm a big fan of your work, there's plenty of other Chelsea fans that are. So please reconsider your decision and come back to YouTube, man. But no, but people, if you want to follow Tobs, his details are down there in the description. His YouTube channel, his Instagram, his Twitter, it's all there. I've done all the homework for you. All you got to do is
Love
click
my
the
bro.
description. All you
Thank
got to
you.
do is click his link and make sure you give the brother a follow. You get me? But as for me, look, I'm gonna do a live stream. The game will be on Sunday. I'm not sure what time it is UK. No, I do. I think it's 4:30 kickoff in the UK,
Yeah, so
which is
that would be what? That would be
11:30 a.m. over
11.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I will be doing the watch along. So my Chelsea fans, make sure you do tune in. I really do wish I could have been at the bridge for this game, but unfortunately, I'm over 5,000 miles away over here in New York City. But I will be at a Chelsea game soon, people. Sooner than you think. I will be back in England, and definitely some link ups are going to happen. I'm definitely trying to link up with Matisse. Obviously, we can all link up together if you're around Tobes. In fact, the funny thing is that Tobes actually knows somebody that I went to
Hmm,
school with.
I
Yeah, it's a
know.
small
Small world.
world, man.
Yeah,
Small world. Big up Charles. And if I remember correctly, I think Charles is also a Spurs fan, isn't it?
he is a Spurs fan. Yep, you're
Yeah,
right.
you see
You're
him.
right.
You see, my memory serves me well, man. But big up Charles, man. Used to go to my school. Now he's looking like an absolute brick shit house with all the
Unit, bro.
workouts
He's a
that he's
unit.
doing. Yeah. So I want to big up the man them there, man. But listen, people, yeah, we are out. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, please make sure you do stay safe and bless up people.